Welcome to Discovering. Tonight we'll take a look at trapping. First we'll see how fisher sets are made.
We're going to do a box set for a fisher.
Then Coyote. And then we'll take a look at some Menominee River Muskie stalking that took place this past October. Stick around, it's Monday night and time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. Black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
The fisher is one of the most effective predators on land, and in the trees they are the fastest American animal. I met up with trapper Dave Wender to learn a bit about how to catch a fisher.
We're going to do a box set for a fisher. This is a 160 conibear. This is just fisher lure, and I'll throw that right in the back. And you can see I got a chunk of beaver hanging in there. It's actually a beaver head, and I put salt on it to keep it from freezing. This is a 160 trap conibear. Make it look like you can go right through, and it will hit that trigger. And another thing, when I put this in here now, or even on the leaning pole, I have the trigger on that side. It's only an inch. If I turn this trap around, I want it this way. He's another inch in that trap before it goes off. Put it in there. You can't forget to take your safeties off. You ain't gonna catch nothing. Well, the reason I picked this location is because right across over there is all kinds of pines. They like pine trees that hold a lot of squirrels. They like a big canopy. There's not really a canopy here, but I'll put it right underneath this here. And this box, as you see, it's got the screen in the back. Try to get that front raised. It just looks a little bit more inviting for them when it's raised up like that. I normally face the trap, so northwest is that way, southeast will be that way. When it snows, it's not blown in the trap. I'll put a real skunky lure here, Alaskan sable oil. It's the best that I've found. And I'll put this on a tree, and that skunk smell will get out there. It's got a real good skunk smell to it. Try to draw that critter in. Fisher season always starts the first day of muzzleloading. And if a fisher got on a gut pile, they're going to be a little bit lazy. And this box set, they can easily go in there and you don't have to worry about them climbing a tree. I've had these boxes. I actually tried them for bobcats, but a bobcat won't go in there. You have to have this board on here, right here, to be legal with the box set, because you don't want someone's dog going and sticking their head in there. And a bobcat won't go in that box. I've had them come up to it and they walk away. And a bobcat doesn't like to back up, so he doesn't feel comfortable going in there and backing up. And the box isn't big enough where he can go in and turn, so I gave up using those boxes for the cats. Put on there. This is the same trap. It's a 160. Perfect for fisher. This is a boughten conibear clip that'll hold the trap. Now here's one I made for about 6 cents. You can make these out of a 1/2-inch plywood clip, and you just bend it, and then you drill a hole in the middle, and you got yourself a cheap conibear clip. Just wrap a wire around the tree to hold the bait, and then I can tie the trap to it. I did this last year and I ended up catching a bobcat, so I don't care what I catch. Yeah, I picked this location because of all the blown down trees and it's got a nice canopy over it, all these cedar trees here. Fishers like all the blown downs. They can hunt in them, they can hide in them. Now you want that close enough to the trap where the trap ain't going to interfere with it. Now this is considered a leaning pole set, and this trap has to be at least 4 feet off the ground. You don't want to be setting it on a tree and laying on the ground. Someone's dog's going to come around and they're going to get their head in there. You can't have any exposed bait. If you have exposed bait, you're going to get a bunch of crows here. Possibly you might catch an eagle. I think that was the whole idea why they started enforcing that. I got it covered with these spruce boughs, and it just looks more inviting for the fisher anyway. Now we'll put a little fisher lure on it, and I like these stocky things. They're a tall plant. I don't know what they are, but you dip it in there and it's like a nice little lure holder. I'll just stick that up there. Now this is another good skunky lure. You put this on to attract them, get that smell out there. I'll put it on this cedar right here, and it's some good stuff. No, I'm not going to throw this. I don't want it over there. I want it here at the set. So now if you look here, it looks like a little tunnel for them. They go right in for that bait, and the way that trigger is bent, it looks like it's a clear shot in there, but they hit that trigger and that's the end. And then with all this little pieces of beaver meat on there, it becomes a good cat set too. This is such a good spot. I want to find another tree somewhere. Okay, I'm going to put the trap right here. It's 4 feet off the ground to be legal. Now, a fisher cat, that's what they're known as, a fisher cat. They're not actually a cat. They're part of the weasel family. Like a coyote or a bobcat, they have 4 toes. The fisher has 5 toes. Just give him something to smell, or maybe catch a cat. I don't want that trap hitting it when it fires, so I'll tie it back here.
Unlike the season to trap fishers, which lasts only about 10 days, coyote trapping is open from mid-October till March 1st. I caught up with UP trapper Bob Whitens while he was out checking coyote traps.
This is designed so that the animal can get away from the trap site and get tangled up in the brush, because you don't really want to contaminate your site. But in this case, we had them away from the set, so I'm going to go and reuse the same set where I caught them. So I'm going to get a new clean trap and go over there and pop one in here. These are clean traps. These have been boiled in a boiling pot, and they got a little light coating of wax on them here, and so they're nice and clean and deodorized. So if we do make a catch, you don't want to use the same set, that same trap over, because there's a lot of smell on that trap. And coyotes, great sense of smell. They can detect an odor right through the dirt, so you don't want them smelling that trap because they'll dig it out. The trap's got to be clean. So I'm going to take a clean trap over here and take some of my gear, we'll go over there and replace that trap. Okay, this is the location where we caught the coyote. And he dug it up a little bit around here, but he didn't stay long. He was gone. So I think we're okay here. We don't have too much coyote smell here. So we're going to use the same site. And this is what we call a bait hole or a dirt hole set. You can see the hole is dug down in here. There's the old hole right here. That was the hole that we dug originally. And all it does, it imitates a spot where the coyotes bury up some food. It's amazing what they do. If they come across a kill and they eat their fill, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll go hole and regurgitate some of that food and put it in a hole like that. Apparently they remember that for future. So it's amazing how they can do that. We're just going to do the same thing here. We're going to prepare a spot out here. We're going to make a trap bed roughly 8 inches away from the hole. Depending on the kind of trap you're using, you might have to dig a little different bed. This is a number 3 double long spring. And what I do here is use a little bit of fiber foam, put that under the pan, and that just keeps the dirt from getting under there. And when you set the traps here, get the springs over so it's flat. You can adjust that pan a little bit better there so it's nice and crisp. Everything is level and flat. And we're going to locate that trap in here. Depending on the type of trap you got, you dig your trap bed accordingly. So we want to get that trap back about, like I say, 8 inches away from the hole. Because you got to imagine where the coyote's feet are going to be. He's got his nose in there where his front feet are. So we got a good spot right about here. We're setting that trap in there nice and tight. Gonna bury some chain. And the rest of this drag I'm gonna hide over there. Once we get this all in here, then we start packing in some of the original dirt. And we like it packed down around the outside, because the only soft spot you want here is exactly over that trap bed. Because if a coyote steps on the soft ground, he's going to pull his foot back right away thinking that, hey, there's something wrong with that. So we don't want him doing that. Now we're going to get some covering, which I use called peat moss. It's just regular peat moss you can buy in the store. It stays dry, works nice. Sprinkle that on the trap. You get a nice covering. Sometimes you can use a paintbrush, foam brush, whatever you want. Then what I like to do here, I'm going to put some natural dirt on top of that with a sifter. Over the top of that peat moss. Just so it looks pretty natural. A chain laying there, I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm just going to kind of blend in some of this grass just to make it look pretty natural. Okay, now we got that made. Next thing to do is we got to get an attractor in that hole to make them want to look in there. This is a regular prepared lure. All trapping supplies have it. I particularly use this one because the guy that made this lure originally was a guy from Menominee area, Herb Lennon, famous trapper up here back in the 50s. He started making lure, and now his sons are carrying out the tradition. So I still kind of like to use stuff that I know originally came from the UP. So this is Lennon's coyote lure. You got to watch this lure. You don't want to make sure you get it on your gloves. You don't want anything but the lure in a hole, because you want them to focus on that. Put some lure on a stick, get that down in the hole, make it look natural. Get a nice little supply of that in there. Added touch, I like to use this coyote urine. Put a little bit of that on the back of the hole up there. But in this case, I probably don't need much, because I'm sure the animal was caught here for a while, and you got enough coyote smell around here to be an attractor. So basically, that's all you do is you get that trap in the right place, fix the area up so it looks natural, and wait for the next one to come along. Here's an example of what we call a walk-through set, or a scent, just a plain scent set. A lot of times you'll make these along an edge of an old trail or a road, and the coyotes come by, and it's again like a scent post or fire hydrant set. And we use them as an alternate to a dirt hole set. And in this case here, yesterday I caught a red fox in this set, and he was here. Now I see last night that coyote we caught here just down the trail probably walked through here, and it looks like there's some tracks there where he just missed the trap. Looks like he might have stepped right here, stepped over here, and the trap band's probably right here. When you make these kind of sets, you're not really sure. It's kind of like you hope you can get him to step there. It's a guessing game. This is a urine post here. That's an old block I threw there. We put urine on here, and they come by, and it's like a dog, looking for a place to mark their spot. So that's what we do with that. In fact, I'll give them a little refresher here. Again, here's some coyote urine. Just going to sprinkle that on that piece of wood so that they feel like they're pretty secure that another one was there. This is that big coyote I caught a few days back. You can see he's a pretty good sized one, probably a big old male adult. And once you skin him out, you put him on a stretcher, and you put him on with the fur on the inside for about a day to get the leather pretty dry. Then you got to take them and turn them, put them on the stretcher this way, and let them finish drying after they're on the board. And then once he's completely dry, after about 4 days or so, I'll take them off. Then I'll go through and brush them, clean them, get any dirt and stuff off them, and get them ready to ship. And what I've been using a lot for cleaning if there's blood on the fur, I get something like this. It's a regular old spot cleaner, Scotch Guard this happens to be, but fabric cleaner, spot remover. You can just spray that on the fur, leave it set for a while, work it in, and then take a brush like this, and just brush it all out, and it takes all that blood and dirt off the fur and gets it nice and shiny. So when you're ready to ship it, you got a nice looking fur.
At this time of year, most of us are thinking ice when we talk about fishing. I noticed that whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall, muskie fishermen talk about muskies. This past fall, I was on the Menominee River with some of the crew from the Boundary Waters Musky Club along with the Wisconsin DNR. for a look at an ongoing muskie stocking project.
Today we're stocking muskies. The hatchery down in Wild Rose has produced muskies for us. We're stocking them in the Menominee River. We started down at White Rapids section, and then we moved up to Chalk Hills, and then we scatter planted those fish so they weren't all in one spot to avoid bird predation and anything like that. And now we're at Kingsford Flowage, right between Florence and Iron Mountain, stocking these muskies. This is actually the first time we're stocking muskies, these spotted muskies from the Great Lakes inland. We had created a few broodstock lakes, and there was a couple lakes that had gotten them, but now we're getting our fish right from the Green Bay. We're able to bring them into our hatchery and stock this genetic strain, which is native to the area. We stocked about 500 in each of these 3 impoundments. Right now we're at Kingsford Flowage, and basically the way I'm managing Kingsford Flowage is we're stocking at 1 fish per acre. And these are 11 to 12 inch muskies, so they're 6 months old and they're quite large. But out here on Kingsford Flowage, 491 muskies every other year. So we stock during the odd numbered years, and we do that just to relieve any competition between the age classes. So every other year, this flowage gets stocked with muskies. Normally what we do is we try to handle them as little as possible, and we have trucks, our hatchery trucks, that'll just pull up to the launch, hook up a big hose, and we'll just dump them in. The flow of water will just dump them in. We don't have to move them around or beat them up in any way. Today what we're doing is we're scatter planting them. So we're stocking them up and down the flowage so they don't all hang out in one area, so that gulls or cormorants or herons or anything can get at them. So we're loading them into boats today. We're running up and down this stretch of the flowage and spreading them out. So hopefully they'll have better survival. Normally we stock muskies where they won't reproduce, and we have to stock on an every other year basis to create these muskie fisheries. That's probably 80-90% of Wisconsin's muskie fisheries. Out here we started this project in 2014 with the help of the Boundary Waters Musky Club. So those fish would be up to 7 years old now. Last year we actually picked up some natural reproduction of muskies out in this flowage, Kingsford Flowage. And this fall again we picked up some naturally reproduced muskies. So it's really exciting. This seems to be a flowage where these muskies are surviving, growing to adulthood, and they're actually able to reproduce, which as I mentioned is pretty rare. So this fishery will hopefully be here to stay forever.
So it's pretty cool because the last time we were out on the river here stocking as a club with the DNR was in 2013, and it's been a lot of fun over the years to be involved with the club and try to figure out projects where we can help improve fisheries going forward. And this is one of the few places really that have been available for our club to stock fish in. And so to be able to put in place something that is a native species to this area and should be a long-lived species and present opportunities for muskie fishing, which has been just the popularity explosion over the last several years has been pretty crazy. So to be able to have some fisheries a little bit closer to home in the future is going to be super. So I think it's just kind of a testament to our club and how we've been able to kind of figure out what the best ways to partner with the DNR and others over the years. This is certainly a project we're proud of, and I think this Menominee River fishery from here to the mouth is going to be outstanding for years to come.
Well, this is what these guys look like. Great Lakes spotted strain. These are 9 to 12, 13 inches, some of them. Look like pretty healthy little guys. Just gonna drop them in, scatter spread them through the weeds here. Hopefully they find a place to hide out, grow to be nice and big, hey? Get a couple 50 inches out of that someday. Also in these flowages that we're stocking with muskies, we're also stocking walleyes, and they're large fingerling walleyes, 7 to 8 inches long. We got the correct genetics, and basically what we're doing is we're pairing them with these muskies. Muskies and walleyes coexist very well together, especially in these river habitats. All studies point toward muskies actually helping walleyes out. So a lot of people think that muskies eat a lot of walleyes. That simply isn't that true. They actually have a hard time catching walleyes on their own. Now, if you have one hooked by the boat, sometimes they'll come up and pick one off, but really having muskies in your walleye fisheries help clean out some of the other fish species that don't play so well with walleyes. So having muskies and a nice solid muskie population in a lake is very helpful for walleye management.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.